Hello from New York, and welcome to the Music News at Noon on the Music Industry City Broadcast Network. This is where we look at the latest headlines in music, tech, and what's going on in the industry. We'll be starting the program in just a few moments, but first, some notes about today's program. Feel free to invite your friends to join in this show, and if you'd like to offer your thoughts on any of today's topics, you can request to join the stage and participate in the discussion, or comment in the chat in the video stream. You can find all of today's headlines on our website, musicindustrycity.com. Just head to the latest Music News at Noon post to see all the articles we referenced during today's broadcast. You can also register for free to get unlimited access to all the articles, news, and events in the city. And you may also watch us live on the video stream right from the website or on the Music Industry City YouTube channel. All right, is everybody ready? We begin our countdown right now.
Hello and welcome. It's great to have you with us this Monday. I'm Peter Suing, and here's what's happening. Shuttered venues are suing the SBA over grant denials. Apple's using Shazam so Rightsholders can get paid. Kings of Leon send an NFT into space. Over 150,000 Dutch protest the restrictions. We'll check in with our UK correspondent, Angela Randall, to talk about UK government scrapping the plans for COVID passport requirements, plus our daily Spotify update. Those stories are coming up, but first, let's take a look at this day in music history with Eli Window. Eli.
All right, thanks, Peter. Let's go ahead and take a look at this day in music history. On this day, the 13th of September, 1996, we lost American rapper Tupac Amaru Shakur, who died after being shot 6 days earlier when he was driving through Las Vegas. 13 bullets were fired into his BMW. The incident was blamed on East and West Coast gang wars. Shakur was a convicted sex offender, guilty of sexual abuse, and after serving 11 months of his sentence, he was released from prison on an appeal financed by Marion Suge Knight, the CEO of Death Row Records. On the 13th of September 2015, we lost Gary Rickrath, lead guitarist and songwriter for REO Speedwagon. We lost him at the age of 65 and recorded 12 albums with the band before leaving in 1989. On this date, 2019, we lost American singer, songwriter, and multi-instrumentalist Eddie Money, who died of cancer at age 70 in memory. Moving on to birthdays today, born on this date, 1944, Peter Cetera from the band Chicago. He left the band in July 1985 and scored the solo 1986 US #1 and UK #3 single, Glory of Love. The theme song, of course, from the film The Karate Kid Part 2. And also born on this date, 1952, musician, record producer, and record executive Don Was of the 1980s pop group Was Not Was. Also born this date, 1954, Stephen John Kilby, lead singer-songwriter and bass guitarist with The Church. Born on this date, 1963, Dave Mustaine, guitarist from Megadeth. And born this date, 1977, singer, songwriter Fiona Apple. Born also on this date, 1993, Niall Horan from English-Irish pop boy band One Direction. Happy birthday. And that's it for on this day in music history. Let's go ahead and check back in with Peter. Over to you.
All right. Thank you for that, Eli. All right. To set the stage for a discussion, we provide informed perspectives and commentary on current headlines. If you'd like to offer your thoughts on one of today's topics, you can request to join the stage during the show. I'd also like to say hi to everyone viewing the show in our video stream on Facebook, Twitch, YouTube, and directly from the website. To stay up to date on this and other programming, you can sign up at musicindustrycity.com for more news, articles, and events. And with that, let's get to it. All right, we begin with this piece from Billboard.com. To access all the articles referenced in today's show and throughout the week, visit musicindustrycity.com and view today's Music News at Noon post. All right, shuttered venues are suing the SBA over grant denials. Several lawsuits have been filed against the SBA over the program. Venues denied federal funding through the Shuttered Venues Operated Grant program are attempting to sue. The SBA has given $9.5 billion to over 12,000 businesses and denied over 4,500. The lawsuits were filed on behalf of Sokol World Entertainment in Beverly Hills and MomoCon in Atlanta by Aiken, Gump, Strauss, Hauer, and Feld. Sokol, who owns the club Space Cobra in North Hollywood, features local LGBTQ+ and Latino performers. The pandemic reportedly cost the company 90% of its revenue in 2020, while MomoCon in Atlanta promotes live concerts, performances, panels, competitions, and theatrical productions by rock bands and R&B artists, as well as orchestras and cultural performers from around the world. Similar to Sokol, it has its initial application and appeal denied last month. For the initial and second round of supplemental grant amounts, both lawsuits ask the SBA to set aside the requested funds, reassess their applications, and award them. While more lawsuits may be on the way for the SBA, the Florida Maher law firm has set up a website for rejected grant applications to sue the SBA. And they start off with the line, quote, "Has the Shuttered Venue Operators Grant Program denied you or your business necessary funds? You are not alone." I should have said that with the 1-800-PAIN-LAW voice. But after a 4-month wait to start the grant application process, it took until late May for venues, promoters, agencies, and others to receive funds. With the additional $6 billion, the SBA is currently awarding supplemental grants worth up to 50% of the initial grant. Anybody's experienced this or is dealing with this or have some thoughts or other information, please feel free to raise your hand and join the stage. All right, we are going to go.
I personally was just going to say quickly, Peter, that I personally know of at least one venue that applied and had their application denied or rejected. I'm not sure what the correct terminology is. So I'll make sure that they get that website. And if you or anyone that you know is part of a venue that has been denied funding, make sure that you do visit the website, musicindustrycity.com. Check that link and make sure that you get your venue on this appeals list too.
Yeah, it's very important. Yeah. And, it's unfortunate the delayed rollout, the missteps, and now we're hearing this. So hopefully things will get cleared up for that. All right, moving on to music business worldwide. Apple Music is now using Shazam technology to identify tracks in DJ mixes so that rights holders get paid. The article goes on. Apple Music has launched a new method that employs Shazam technology to detect tracks in DJ mixes in order to compensate all rights holders whose music appear in the mix. The identification technique was created in collaboration with major and indie labels, and the music streaming site is also collaborating with DJs and DJ mix suppliers such as festivals, clubs, and promoters. Thousands of mixes are already available on Apple Music via a DJ mix category page. The DJ mixes have been streamed 300 million times on Apple Music so far, and over 3 million of the platform's subscribers listen to DJ mixes each month. And according to Music Business Worldwide, the number of listeners engaging with DJ mixes has also increased in the last year. This is great. I love to see this. I know Mixcloud. This is something that Mixcloud, when they first launched, this was a challenge, and they started getting the technology and were able to tag and identify songs in the mix, and it was some of this technology is absolutely amazing. They're talking about finding samples within a mix, even if it's been altered. So this is great to see that Apple is doing this. Anytime we can get more money to rights holders, it's great. And the DJ mixes has been something that has been a workaround. And I know this is something I'm not going to get into my Twitch rant, but this is something over on Twitch that, not everything is claimed, but when something gets claimed, it'll get muted on the playback. But now it got more strict where there's strikes. But if there's a way to engage that for Twitch to actually start doing something like that, I think this would be great as well. All right, we're going to move on here. We're going to stay with Apple. And this one is interesting. From this media outlet called Silicon Canals. And again, you can go to musicindustrycity.com and click on today's Music News at News post to see all the headlines and the links to the articles. Apple acquires Amsterdam-based premium classical music streaming service Primephonic. Primephonic, based in Amsterdam, was a classical music streaming service, has been now bought. And as a result, it went offline on September 7th. It's no longer there. You can go to the webpage, and there's a nice note for you. But meanwhile, current Primephonic members will receive complimentary 6-month subscriptions to Apple Music. Apple said customers will benefit from an upgraded classical music experience, beginning with Primephonic playlists and exclusive audio material with the advent of Primephonic. Apple Music also intends to release a specialized classical music app next year, which will use Primephonic's classical user experience. Apple Music Classical subscribers will soon have access to dedicated features such as composer and repertoire search capabilities, as well as detailed displays of classical music metadata. Primephonic, which was founded in 2014 by Veronica Neo, was a direct response to the pressing difficulties and opportunities in the classical music market. The Dutch startup hoped to redefine the digital classical music experience and revive a global interest for the genre via the platform. And Gordon P. Getty, Primephonic's largest stakeholder, said, quote, Primephonic and Apple together can realize that mission and take classical to a worldwide audience. And it's also notably, over the last 6 years, Apple has bought more than 100 companies. Beats was purchased for $3 billion in 2014, while Shazam, which we just spoke about, was purchased for $400 million in 2017. Anything to help? I mean, Primephonic was great because they did achieve their goal. If anybody is a classical music fan, you know that trying to find something back in iTunes, Apple Music, Spotify is nearly impossible because you have a piece of music by a composer and you can have so many different variations. New York Philharmonic, the Berlin, Atlanta, this conductor, this specific performance, and the meta, it's a mess. And trying to find that one performance that you wanted to hear from the 1989 recording of, the Russian something symphonic orchestra, it's really difficult. And things were getting cut off because so many of these have, extra characters, some of the lengths of these and variations. And Primephonic was really good about that. I just hope Apple really does come through by utilizing what Primephonic brought to the table, because Primephonic, if anybody's used it, please feel free to jump on the stage. Let us know what your experience was. But, of course, great move for Apple. And as we see, we're starting to see more services come to fruition in the market. And now we are going to see more acquisitions and consolidation in a few years. Ebb and flow, it happens, because this will lead us into our next article, which is on Music Ally. And this one is about a launching of a new streaming service. And this is Loyalty Tunes to launch affiliate-driven streaming service. And I'm going to read a little more, just kind of more of a paraphrase on this. According to an infographic published last year by DEMA, the lobbying group for digital music services, the typical DSP keeps $3.10 of every $10 in subscription revenue. With that in mind, the announcement of a brand new streaming services promises to pay musicians $4 per member each month is bound to raise some eyebrows. But how will those economics function? The startup is called Loyalty Tunes, and it operates on an affiliate referral marketing strategy. So if an artist, or indeed a listener, promotes someone to the service who then begins paying for a subscription, the musician will receive $4 off that subscriber's monthly payment. The remaining $6 of that subscription is not yet known how it will be split between loyalty tunes and musicians. The company's press release states that the service will be launched next spring through the crowdfunding campaign. There is even talk of offering listeners privileges like discounts on vacations, shopping, and dining, which would generate additional cash, and that the main challenge will be that an affiliate system based on subscriptions needs individuals to subscribe in order to function. So getting people to subscribe necessitates a repertoire of music that is worth subscribing to. Chicken and the egg here going on. Obtaining that catalog will necessitate the participation of artists and right holders in the economic model. So that'll all change once licensing goes into place. But is it me, or does this sound like a multi-level marketing pyramid scheme in a sense? And I see Eli's just pointing at me in the backstage in the video. So if anybody's checking out the video right now, you can see Eli's like, all right, hands up. All right, Eli, what are your thoughts on this one?
I was just going to say, preach. Those were my thoughts exactly. Is this an MLM situation here? What is this?
I'm going to be I'm already in the mums groups, the person saying, please don't try to sell me your makeup or your candles or your, who knows, whatever else, garments. The last thing I want to be is the one in the moms group going, but come on, I've got music you guys have to listen to. Check it out. Sign up. It'll be great. I promise.
And you have an opportunity to win a vacation to Puerto Viejo. It's like... What was the old Prices Right? Not Puerto Viejo. It was Puerto Vallarta. That was the old Prices Right. That was
Puerto Vallarta.
Yeah, the old Showcase Showdown. Hey, Eli, since you're up here, why don't I throw it back to you?
All right. Thanks for checking in with me, Peter. And we want to invite all of you to check in with your friends as well. So feel free to invite them to the show. Your friends can participate in our conversation just the same as you can by requesting to come to the stage or by commenting in the chat if you're checking us out on the video live stream. Thanks for viewing. Make sure that you follow your co-hosts to be alerted when they are live. You can also watch our video live stream right from our website and access other content and articles, including our weekday 5-minute music industry news podcast, which keeps you up to date on items that may not be covered here, such as new releases, tours, musical chairs, business, and tech news, and all in 5 minutes or less. We'd like to thank you so much for tuning in to the Music News at Noon each and every Monday through Thursday at 12 Eastern from New York. Now let's continue with our headlines. UK government scraps plans for COVID passport requirement in English nightclubs. With more on this headline, let's go to our UK correspondent, Angela Randall. Angela?
Thanks, Eli. The ambitious scheme to require clubs and other venues in England to prove that all customers have been immunized against COVID has been scrapped. This despite recent assurances from UK officials that the scheme would go ahead, and a vote in the Scottish Parliament last week to proceed with the same proposal north of the border. Since clubs in England were allowed to reopen and full capacity shows to resume in July, it has been up to individual venues and events to determine whether or not to check clients' vaccination or COVID status. However, when those COVID requirements were repeated in July, Prime Minister Boris Johnson stated the clubs would be required to check COVID passports beginning in late September, with the obligation being put back until the autumn to enable clubbers time to get vaccinated. That scheme was heavily panned by the nighttime industry and many MPs, but on the last day of August, a representative for Johnson asserted that it was still on track. UK's vaccines minister, Nadim Kahawi, appeared on television, which was perhaps the first sign that it was going to be abandoned, but not before Zahawi was obliged to defend the Prime Minister's stance. It was on the Andrew Marr show the other day that the government confirmed the change of plan. Health Secretary Sajid Javid said, "I never liked the idea of saying to people you must show your papers or something to do what is just an everyday activity, but we were right to properly look at it. We've looked at it properly, and whilst we should keep it reserved, in reserve as a potential option, I'm pleased to say that we will not be going ahead with plans for vaccine passports, end quote. Needless to say, Javid's remarks were welcomed by the Nighttime Industries Association, which has been lobbying hard against the COVID passport requirement, and which said that the passing of such a requirement in Scotland last week meant that that country's already fragile nighttime economy is now in quote on a quote dangerous path to devastation, end quote. Yeah, there's a lot of news about what's going on today with regard to COVID vaccines. I'm afraid this news has actually been trumped by what was recently noted that vaccines will now be available to 12 to 15s coming soon from the health secretary. So I don't know when that rollout will be, but a lot of the apprehension about some of the nightclubs and festivals and events that have been opening are that if a lot of these people have younger siblings that are still attending schools and they're going out to nightclubs and then coming home and staying at mom and dad's, and they've got a sibling between 12 and 15, which was a pretty rapidly growing group of transmitting and COVID positive test results, that would be an issue, because obviously as kids would be relatively close in age, if they're eating from the same plates and using the same toilets and showering in the same showers and what have you, that potential transmission and spread into the schools as a result of their clubbing older siblings would be an issue. But now, of course, that they're potentially rolling out those vaccines for teenagers, I think that may go hand in hand with this information. So, of course, we'll keep you up to date if there's more to know. But this looks like a win for Michael Kill and the NTIA. Peter?
Thank you for that. Yeah, I know Michael Kill's pretty happy about this.
Yeah, for absolute sure. He's been definitely lobbying hard, and I've seen his name all over the news here. So, yeah, it's definitely a win for them. I can tell you I've experienced both. I've been to venues where they've required a COVID passport, and others where they didn't even ask me to wear a mask or check anything when I came to the door. So, as far as I can tell you, it does seem to be quite a wide spectrum. So hopefully this is a bit clearer for everybody going forward.
Right on. All right. Thank you for that. All right. Let's stick with Europe, and we're going to go over to the Netherlands. And we've discussed this in the past, and the protests that have been going on in the Netherlands. And this is one from IQ Mag. The Dutch government to ease restrictions as 150,000 protests. I mean, this escalated quickly, to say the least. Under specific conditions, multi-day events and festivals in the Netherlands will most likely be permitted beginning September 25th. The Dutch government is settling on the criteria today, according to nu.ul, ahead of a news presentation tomorrow evening. The conditions, which will be based on Field Lab Ventum findings, will most likely include a 75% capacity limit. The cabinet is also investigating how COVID certification and testing can contribute to the reopening of the industry. During her interview on Good Morning Netherlands, Culture Minister Ingrid van Engelshoven offered a ray of hope, saying, quote, "The culture sector is getting better news than has been leaked so far. I am hopeful that things will go in the right direction tomorrow also for the events." The announcement comes after an estimated 150,000 people took part in the second Unmute Us demonstration on Saturday, demanding that major events resume immediately. The march on Saturday was the largest ever in the Netherlands, more than double the attendance of the first demonstration on August 21st, which drew 70,000 people. Over 4,000 organizations joined the petition, including the festivals Lowlands, Mysteryland, Down the Rabbit Hole, Awakenings, and more, which were all canceled this year owing to the limitations set by the government. This protest comes out after the Dutch government extended a ban on large-scale gatherings until at least September 19th because of concerns about the spread of the highly virulent Delta virus. All right, moving over to let's talk some NFTs. Yes, we're going to do it. And it's Kings of Leon, so they've already had some experience. They are sending an NFT into space. And guess who with? The band is collaborating with Elon Musk's SpaceX, which is ready to launch an all-civilian Inspiration 4 crew into a 3-day orbit. On September 15th, the band's NFT A new live recording of their track Time in Disguise will be played on board via an iPhone. The item is now up for auction, with all proceeds benefiting St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital. Bidding begins at $50,000, and the winner will receive both the NFT and the iPhone that will be sent into space. The NFT is part of a larger auction that includes limited edition space merchandise in an effort to raise $200 million for the hospital. Kings of Leon told People, quote, "It means so much to us to be part of this historic moment. When we wrote and recorded Time in Disguise in the studio, we always thought it had a spacey feel to it, and then the visuals from our live show have that vibe as well. To now have that song and those images be part of something as historic as this is really cool, and having it raise money for a cause we've always cared so much about makes it even better." Kings of Leon made more than $2 million earlier this year from a collection of non-fungible tokens dubbed NFT Yourself. Whatever people want to say about NFTs, this is for a great cause. I think it's awesome. This is fun. This is something that, it's a great use. It's music. It's space. It's got this has everything. It's got Elon Musk. It's got space. It's got rock and roll. It's got there's a little bit of everything here. I like this one. Eli, you're laughing.
When you said that there was going to be an all-civilian Inspiration 4 crew, I genuinely thought that it was going to be Kings of Leon were going to be launching themselves into space. I mean, I don't know. The Follow Wills can do an awful lot, but I don't know if space exploration can be added to their impressive list. I mean, let's start with the music.
Yeah, let's stick to the music. Eli, you're shaking your head. You have something before I move on?
You know what had me chuckling, Peter, is that this almost felt like a comic book or a graphic novel or an anime cartoon. Like, let's add another layer. Oh, but wait, there's more. There's one more. It's very exciting, and even I, the NFT Grinch, have to concede that this is interesting.
Right on. All right, we're gonna move over to Music Ally. Facebook unveils its first pair of smart glasses with Ray-Ban. Who's seen these? And who's remembered the Google Glass? This is not Google Glass. This is not nerdy, geeky stuff. This is kind of cool. And it's on my, hey, my birthday's in November. If anybody, I can put together a wish list over at Amazon or at Ray-Ban if you want to set this up. Facebook unveils its first pair of smart glasses with Ray-Ban. And because it's Stuart Dredge on Music Ally, I'm just going to read this opening directly from him because Stuart's great with this kind of snark. "It's a joyful day for anyone who has spent the last decade and a half thinking that Facebook was cool. Sure, but wouldn't it be cooler if you could strap it to your actual face? Yes, that day has come. And that's possible." Thank you, Stuart. Always love a great intro. The Ray-Ban Stories is a pair of smart glasses made in collaboration with accessory brand Ray-Ban. And it's been unveiled by the social network Facebook. According to the pitch, the device offers, quote, "a new way to capture photos and videos, share your adventures, and listen to your music or take phone calls so you can stay present with friends, family, and the world around you. When they go on sale in the US, UK, Australia, Canada, Ireland, and Italy, they will cost $299. And there will be an accompanying Facebook View smartphone app to sync, edit, and share the photographs and videos. And interestingly, the sharing options include a Twitter, TikTok, and Snapchat. There is even a special Ray-Ban Stories privacy microsite, which Facebook hopes will prevent the inevitable, quote, "Isn't this a slippery slope of intrusive horror worries?" Thank you, Stuart. Still, they're worth looking into as a sign of the company's long-term plans for AR and pervasive computing. I love it. I want one. And I'm at the point I'm like, fine, Facebook, just watch. You can watch where I'm going. Is that what you really want? You're just going to tap in. It's like, hey, let's see what Peter's doing. If I am that important to you, then tick that box on my bucket list. And with that, let's go over to our favorite part of the show. It's the spot.
All right, that is what time it is. The big green dot, it does hit the spot. It is time for the Spotify spot, where we take a look at the latest updates from the streaming service. But before we do that, we want to check in with your weather. Many of our listeners report air quality issues with purple haze all in their eyes. They can't tell whether it's day or night. And with that, over to you, Peter. What do you have for us for the Spotify spot today?
Right on, thank you. All right, this is from Rain News. Spotify rolls out Enhance to user-created playlists, supplementing Recommend and more. So Spotify's goal here is to expand the listening library of its premium customers who create playlists. In a recent announcement, the company introduced Enhance, a music suggestion option added to the already installed Add Song and Recommended features. Enhance is an option that must be selected by the user before any action is taken. The action is as follows. Spotify's music AI will insert a new song into the playlist after every 2 existing tracks, and after 30 recommendations, Spotify stops adding them to the extended playlist. The addition is temporary until the user taps the plus icon next to it, and the recommendation will then become an integral part of the playlist. It does not replace any other music. Rather, it is inserted into the playlist. But wait, there is more. The Add Songs function is located above a premium members playlist, and it takes the user to a long list of recommendations based on the original playlist. It includes dozens of 10-second track samples representing songs that may be added using the trusty plus symbol, and this appeals to me as well. I like this. Spotify states, quote, with Enhance, we're helping our listeners to do more of what they love, curate their playlists with great recommendations. Enhance will continue to evolve as we learn more. So stay tuned for those updates down the road. It's currently available in 40 global markets with more to follow. And it's a phone feature available on both Android and iOS. And hopefully it will come to the desktop app soon enough. And with that, that's it for our read. So let's open up the stage to our audience. I am going to put 5 minutes on the clock. If you would like to offer your thoughts or comments on any of today's topics, now is your chance to raise your hand and join the conversation.
That's correct, everybody. And if you'd like to offer your thoughts on any of today's topics, request to join our stage or post something up in the chat. And remember, you can always find all of today's headlines from the show at musicindustrycity.com. Any final thoughts for us today on our headlines? It's great to see everyone in the room.
I've got to say, when I'm thinking about those Ray-Bans and I'm thinking about them being linked up to Facebook, I'm wondering if people are going to accidentally leave them on and be capturing photos and video and sharing their adventures without even realizing that they've gone live, or if they've captured the tail end of a video when they thought they've cut it off and just post it live. I can't wait to sort of, for the Michael Jackson memes to abound under all the feeds when people have accidentally left their Ray-Ban stories on. Please roll this out as quickly as possible, Facebook.
We're about to have an accidental Truman Show situation, it sounds like.
Hashtag Facebook Ray-Ban fails. I mean,
Facebook face plants. I don't know.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I'm sure actually, it's going to be great for adventure people. I mean, to wear these sunglasses, or you can get them in prescription glasses as well. I did look at them. I want them. I do. Facebook, take my data. Take it. Fine. Have it. I want this. I've given up. I've lost all hope on all privacy. Fine. Take it. Go run with it. I'm not that interesting. I'm not interesting enough for you to care. So, anybody else? Let's go. Who's that? Eli?
I was just going to say, take my money, take my data, just make me cool. Come on now.
Yeah. I'm sure.
All right, excellent.
It's going to create a bunch of other issues. And between drones, people, like spying, it's bad. That is really bad. That is something of a concern. That is, we joke about some things, but this is a real big concern. And understand it's like, hey, now we have to think that anytime we're in public and we see a specific type of frame, they could be recording you. I mean, this is already what TikTok is all about. Finding the Karen, and if somebody's disgruntled, it's finding the employee, finding XYZ. It's good for some things. It's absolutely great for capturing those moments when you need a witness to something. But it's also it's that taking the good with the bad. Anybody have some thoughts on this before we wrap up? We just have about 2 minutes left. Well, if not, then.
Okay. All right. As we begin to wrap up with our final thoughts today, I want to thank everyone for tuning in to the music news at noon. And thanks for joining us today on the video stream as well. We hope that we'll see you here again each and every Monday through Thursday at 12 p.m. Eastern. Please feel free to spread the word, invite your friends, and visit musicindustrycity.com to stay up to date on all the current happenings in the music industry, post in the community, and access other amazing resources. My name is Eli Window, and on behalf of our UK correspondent, Angela Randall, I want to thank you so much for being part of today's broadcast. And over to you, Peter, as we wrap our show.
All right, I kind of did my final thoughts on my little my rant on Facebook there, so I guess we're just going to take it and say that does it for the music news at noon this Monday from New York. We'll see you tomorrow. Thanks for watching. I'm Peter Schwing, and for all my colleagues, have a rocking day.
Ciao.